1.4 horsepower, STIHL KM 111 power head. We're stepping up now, guys. We're getting a little bit more power. We're gonna be running a brush cutter. We're maybe gonna be getting into some deep, thick edges, peeling back that sod off of those nasty sidewalks that you can barely see. Anyways, the STIHL KM 111 power head, awesome power, great weight, great performance. Congratulations. Now let's take care of it, right? Now let's have this thing for 10 years or 15 years or more. Commercially, 3 years, 5 years, what are you gonna do? Part of that's gonna come down to taking care of it. Part of that's gonna come down to what fuel we're running, air filter, valve adjustments, all those things. But before we dive into those, let's talk about protecting our noggin. And that's gonna be an important part. I'll tell you a secret. The other day, I went out to weed eat my lawn and I don't know where I had put my safety glasses. I knew where my helmet was. I got one of these cool things and I knew where this was, but it was hot out and I didn't want to run that. And I didn't know where my safety glasses are. So guess what I wore? My safety squints. Everybody's got them. They're awesome. You ever run your safety squints? You're out there weed eating like this. Oh, guess what? It doesn't work. I got hit and I'm like complaining later in the day to my wife that I got something in my eye. Don't be a dumb Josh. Be smart, guys. You only have 2 eyes, right? You only have 2 ears, and I know they make some stuff to help your ears hear, but I don't want to be old and not able to hear my grandkids or hear conversations. So protect your ears, protect your eyes. Safety squints don't work. Could be these awesome glasses that STIHL sent with your purchase, and this plastic does come off. So you can actually keep them fresh for a little longer. Maybe the next level is the brush defender. I like this. Now my whole face is protected. I can keep my beautiful smile and not lose a tooth from a flying rock. And I got my ears protected all at the same time. Safety is important. I know I laughed a little bit there. I made fun of the safety squints, but guys, it's very important to take care of your eyes and your ears. Also, when you're out rocking one of these machines with a string trimmer that's able to throw rocks and stuff, wear long pants, right? So wear the proper apparel when we go out and use these things. We get in a rush, we get in a hurry, and that's when accidents happen. Now, fuel. Fuel is really, this is the lifeblood of this machine, the most important thing. We take it for granted, right? We're just gonna we're out of gas, we run to the gas station, we get some fuel, and what fuel comes out of that pump can have a very adverse effect on the performance and the longevity of this machine. So first of all, ethanol-free fuel. That can be a little hard. You can kind of start jumping around to different stations to find ethanol-free fuel. Once you find your home, return to that fuel station over and over again. In Whatcom County, in the Northwest, it's a 90 octane ethanol-free fuel. There's probably about 8 stations, 9 stations in the Whatcom County area that have it. There's some websites that'll point you in that direction. We have a list here at Carl's, so stop by. If you don't have ethanol-free fuel, make sure you buy small amounts and you go through your fuel quickly. Fuel starts going bad in 6 to 8 weeks, and ethanol will cause problems. So ethanol-free fuel, mixed, HP Ultra mix. We've got different sizes. We got them for 1 gallon cans, 2 gallon, 2.5, and 5. If you're a commercial guy, yeah, you're buying the bigger ones because you're rocking through that fuel all the time. If you're a homeowner, somebody who's running through, a tank a week or 2 tanks a week, I'd stick with a gallon because fuel goes bad and we want to go through it. If you're not a heavy user, or if you want to give your machine the luxury of the ultimate fuel, or in that off season, the hibernation season, Motomix, 93 octane, ethanol-free, alkalite fuel, super shelf stable, awesome clean burn, less exhaust, more performance, more power with this 93 octane Motomix. Consider it hibernation. This is a great off-season fuel. We got fuel out of the way. We got safety out of the way. And more than likely, if you're like most people, you don't want to read these. Me, I read them all. I guess I'm kind of boring sometimes, but I like to read the manuals. If you don't, that's what this video is to give you a brief overview of what you need to know to maintain this machine and then how to start it and that sort of stuff. So maintenance, we really have, I would say we have 4 points of key maintenance. We're gonna have fuel, spark, and air are your main 3, and then we have a valve adjustment on top of that. So fuel, we've talked about that. We have the importance of good fuel. There is in the tank a fuel filter, which is something that should be replaced as a commercial operator annually, as a homeowner probably every 3 to 5 years. Key is, what are you putting in? Now, on fuel filters, don't go online and buy cheap, won't say supplier name, won't say country of origin, but don't buy cheap fuel filters. They don't work. We replace a ton of them in the shop, and we see a lot of the aftermath of these cheap fuel filters in the carburetors. We open up a carburetor and there is actually pieces, fine parts of that fuel filter in the carburetor, and it screwed it up. So spend the $6, $7 for an OEM STIHL fuel filter. Save yourself the hassle. Sidebar, I'm sorry. Just saving you guys some crap. Air filter. Again, I would stick with an OEM air filter. The most important thing on this is the air that's coming into the system, right? And if we have an air filter that is not quality, that is allowing dust fines, dirt fines to bypass that air filter and get into the cylinder, you're going to score your cylinder piston, wash your valves with dust, and you're going to crush this machine. So run a good quality air filter and replace this thing as needed. So it's a nice, beautiful paper pleated air filter. It's going to stop a lot of stuff, and you're going to pull that out and you're going to go, holy cow, look at what this is trying to breathe through. Tap it out. Can I see good light? It's getting a little nasty looking. Throw a new one in. They're fairly cheap. Commercially, you're probably doing this several times a year. Homeowner application, I just throw one in once a year. It's the way to go. And again, try to stick with an OEM filter. I know sometimes it's easier to not come down and see me. I know sometimes it's cheaper, but you're actually starting to mess with the life of the machine. Okay, so fuel, air, and then spark, right? So we need to keep an eye on our spark plug. And if you're running a good air filter or keeping your air filter maintenance up, or if you're running good fuel, you're gonna have less maintenance on the spark plug in. So what goes in comes out sort of thing. Let's take care of what we put in, and then we should have a long filter life. Spark plug life. Nice, Josh. To get to the spark plug, I'm gonna take this one screw loose, pop this cap off, and I've now exposed the top end of the engine. And I have two things. My next two maintenance points are here, my spark plug. Carefully wiggle this spark plug boot off. Don't just rip it off, or you'll rip this boot off and you'll be in spending money to repair it. So just pull it off, and there's my spark plug. Commercially, probably thrown in once a year. As a homeowner, again, I might be pushing a 3 to 4 year mark, 3 to 5 year. They're cheap, they're easy. Sometimes it's just do it to prevent it. This screw right here exposes my valves. Yes, this is a 4-cycle overhead valve engine. That's what makes this machine pull so easily. That's what makes this machine have so much torque and makes it quieter and cleaner and more fuel efficient. Over time, these valves are going to need adjusted. And what'll happen is these valves come out of adjustment. It's natural. Your car, the same thing will happen, right? Your lawnmower, the same thing will happen. But as these valves come out or need adjustment, roughly 125 to 150 hours, you're going to get a chunkier pull because the compression release is not working as well. So instead of a fairly smooth, fluid pull, chunk, 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 more like your grandpa's old chainsaw. You ever pull the rope on a chainsaw and you feel every stroke of compression? And if you pull slow, you really feel every stroke. You got to rip them, right? So as this gets to be a more old chainsaw pull, a chunky pull, it's probably time to look into adjusting your valves. This is something you can try to do yourself. It is something that can be done. There's a special little tool to do it, or you can bring it in for maintenance at your local dealer, Carl's Mower and Saw. Okay, fuel, air, spark, valves. There's one other thing that you should be doing. It doesn't happen that often, but over time your throttle cable will stretch. So when I pull this trigger, I'm not going to get full power. Simple screw here, tighten that up a little bit, and now I'm going to get full throw. And I mean, I'm talking this is hundreds of hours before that happens, but it's something to know, right? This is kind of future. Why is it not hitting full power? What's going on? Let's start it up. Fuel's going to go in here. Remember, good, high quality ethanol-free fuel. Boom, fill the fuel tank, prime it up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. choke it. That's right here on the front. I'm gonna push and I'm gonna twist. The choke is now on. These things start easy. If you're running good fuel, if your spark plug's in good shape, if your air filter's good, this should almost always, I see it starting on like the first pull. They start awesome. Simply gonna grab the handle, pull the rope, whether that's this position. Usually it's best to put it down on the ground. Do something like this. Boom. It's fired up, it's rolling. I hit the trigger and the choke comes off. So just really easy that way. Do you see that? I hit the trigger and the choke came off. I'm gonna just reiterate that. It's pretty amazing how many people come in and it won't start. And it's simply because they've hit the throttle control and they've shut the choke off and they pull. And it's like, this sucker. It is just a stop button to kill it. Push the stop button, bam, it's ready to go back to work. Pull the rope again. The STIHL KM 111, 1.4 horsepower. Let's get this thing to work on your property. Let's run an edger. Let's keep those edges looking tight. Let's run a brush cutter. Let's push back the blackberries that are encroaching from the neighbor's property. Let's run a pole saw so that we can open up our tree canopy so that we can get some light to our lawns. All kinds of cool things that you can do with the STIHL KM 111 powerhead. Thanks for stopping by, checking out Carl's Mower and Saw. We look forward to seeing you soon in our store.